Are Gen Z workers too entitled? Today, we're not gonna lie. Hi everybody, welcome to a new episode of Not Gonna Lie People. Today we are here to talk about a very, very exciting thing. And if you've noticed, we have a new set because it's homelier, cozier to make room and make space for even more intimate conversations. Wow. So today, right, we're here because we want to talk about the whole phenomenon of Gen Z workers. And so I have with me, right, a panel of generations. Everybody come welcome our two guests. Maybe you can tell us what your names are.
Okay, my name is Shunyi. Hello.
Yep, and I'm Wesley.
Okay, so we've got them, right? Because Shunyi actually is a millennial. We are both millennials lah,
Yes,
but I
we
am
are.
on the younger end of the millennial
Okay, I'm at the
spectrum.
right at the
Borderline,
beginning. I
That's
think.
right. So we
Millennials,
also represent two different groups of people. But Shunyi is here because Shunyi, you are managing a bunch of 20-year-old employees, lah, right? I guess there are a range of 20s, right? Some of
Right.
them are in their early
Earlier,
20s, late
yes.
20s. But I guess you have a lot of experience working with Gen Zs. And Wesley is here because he's the Gen Z on our panel.
Wow, borderline, just made it. 1997,
Just made it.
guys.
Wesley, you just
Gen Z.
started work last year.
Yeah,
Right.
I just started like in June.
Wow,
like fresh out of like uni. I graduated April, then June I started work. Yeah,
Right,
so
okay.
First job.
So you're going to give us a lot of insight lah, as to what Gen Zs are like. at the
Yeah, I
workplace.
know all the inside scoop about what young people are looking for. So yeah,
So first question for today. Are Gen Z workers entitled? Yes or no?
no.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely more than my generation, I think.
Okay.
On what grounds do you say that?
Okay, the battle has started. But let me tell you first, okay, why we wanted to talk about this today, right? Is because in preparation for this episode, I spent 1 hour reading a total of 2 articles about how Gen Z workers are a certain way. Okay, I read more than that. I read about 5. So
Wow.
Gen Z workers, right, are accused to be entitled because they have a whole long list, right, of what they would consider an ideal workplace. So let me just list a few, okay, from my memory.
Okay.
Gen Z workers want a workplace that has work-life balance, that has good compensation,
Everyone
has
does,
good
yeah.
benefits such as mental health day. They would like to be in a workplace that is environmentally conscious, cares about sustainability, cares about social impact.
Yeah, that depends lah. Yeah.
They also
That's a bit
want to have
cross down.
flexible work, so want to be able to work from home, want to be able to remote work and all this.
Anyone who say they don't
Stop
want
defending your generation already.
anyone who say that they don't want to work from home, right, is lying or think their boss is watching them. Okay, so just say.
Shunyi, do you want to work from home?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, with this whole long list, right, and I mean, there's a lot more of elaboration, lah.
Yeah.
But I think it is quite safe to say that what Gen Zs look for in a workplace, right, is a bit different lah, from what previous generations will look for. I am about like 5 years ahead of you, Wesley. And I would say that even for myself, right, like at the point when I was looking for work, it did not come with such a long list of
Yeah.
requirements. And most maybe like, okay, I think about compensation, benefits, but I don't really think so much about flexibility, progression from the get-go. So these are things that I think are a lot more apparent today. Okay, so today, right, we want to have this discussion to find out
Yeah.
how different it really is.
Sure.
So Shunyi, I want to ask you, I'm so curious, because you manage a bunch of Gen Z workers
Yes.
and a lot of
Right.
them are
Behind the
in the
camera.
whole range of 20s, are behind the camera.
All
Listen-
here. My
listen
team
up,
is all
okay?
here.
So I want to find out, right, what are some of the most puzzling observations you have of Gen Z workers?
I think the list that you just listed, right, I think is already quite like the list, but I think more than that, right, it's
Wow, there's more?
of the no, it's more of the attitude of like they come and they expect almost like the company to kind of suit them.
Yellow guys, why you like
for
that?
our generation is really like you go there. Wow, like if like you deal with very, very difficult colleagues or like just people with different working style, you are the one who has to learn to adapt, man. You are the newbie here. You're the one who has to work hard for your place or your voice to be heard, right? But like here, as in not here, like, but like now, I feel like that's the expectation. Like they come in, they expect these benefits, right? And
I
to
think
the
that could be
extent
a
whereby, like,
exaggeration.
not exaggeration. It's more like they really are puzzled why the company cannot provide it like immediately. But
Okay.
it may be like, oh, we did consider all this because it's kind of new, like coming out of the pandemic, like this whole mental health
Right.
awareness, work from home
Right.
flexibility and everything. There is a progress where the company needs to catch up.
Yeah.
But whether or not you're okay with it not happening immediately.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you feel that companies need to catch up, right? Like you feel that it's if those companies that have not implemented, let's say, care for mental health for your employees, or I mean that's a step further. Even like simple things like working from home, flexibility, you feel like companies that don't apply that need to catch up eventually. Is it?
No, I think it really depends on the company's work also. I
Okay.
can't say for
Yeah.
sure
Sure,
for
yeah.
every industry also, you see.
Yeah.
So I mean, and it really depends on the bosses and the way that their leadership is as well.
Okay.
There are just a lot more things that I think as a boss, as an employer, you need to think about.
Yeah.
Like your overheads and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I feel that if a company, right, the kinds of company that everybody uses laptop, right, confirm can remote work. Yeah. Because if you tell me things about overhead, right, actually renting an office space is a huge overhead. You know, like
Yes,
isn't that like one of your biggest overheads? And I mean, of course, the employee manpower cost, all that is really like paid to us. So don't consider those things. But the biggest overhead is probably rental, the office space. So actually, I want to save you money. Like let me work from home is saving you money.
No, really? As in, you say that
No,
now
I
lah.
don't
But
believe
as
that
a
as
Gen
an
Z
employer.
worker, are you heart of hearts? You really want to work from home because you want to save your company money? Eh?
It's not
Don't
my
bluff
first
lah.
priority. It's not my first priority, but it is quite.
Is it even your second priority?
No, as an employer, right, I would say I don't necessarily really agree
Right.
with that because,
Okay.
like even like for example for Apple, right, like Pixar, like
Okay. Yeah.
like when the actual building, right,
Yeah.
the central piece, right, is the area where people can gather. People can have casual conversations, can have like exchange of ideas, and that's what makes the entire place thrive.
Sure.
And I feel like that kind of thing is what eventually makes an employee actually stay a longer time. Like a good company culture where you actually get make friends. There are some team dynamics. You are working towards a common vision, and I don't think that entire thing is necessarily translatable online.
Yeah,
So there's
completely.
more to the whole working from home, working from office debate.
Yeah,
than
so
just
the
getting my work
investment.
done.
Yeah, so the investment in office space is actually for you to have
It's an
that
investment in culture.
Yeah, like
Exactly.
innovation, to
Yeah.
like have conversation, and eventually for people to stay longer. So I don't have to keep training new people.
Correct. Yeah, so-
Okay, wait, I'm going to jump in here because this work from home and work from office debate, right, is going to get heated. But I'm very curious because the starting point of this, right, was
Yeah.
that you said that they have certain like expectations and
Yes.
they perhaps expect their opinions to be held a certain way. In your observation,
Yes.
how do Gen Zs typically deal with it when their opinion is not valued? Or maybe not heard and weighed in that way lah?
I don't know. I don't know whether like it just amounts to like then just office talk among the Gen Zs and like the younger people thinks in this manner, and then like the older generation like all don't understand. Like hi, yeah. But actually, I feel like there really is a different perspective. We really do see the world a bit differently. There are different considerations that we have, and whether or not you all are able to accept it, right? That like we hear your feedback, but we are not necessarily going to address every feedback, and we're not necessarily going to address the feedback the way you all want it, and in the time that you all want it to be,
Okay.
addressed.
Fair enough. I think that there is also a space that, if let's say we know why our feedback is not being taken, like for example, working from home, right, or our suggestions are not being taken, right, if the barriers or the blockers are shared with us, right, I feel like we can also problem solve together, like actually, okay, one article I saw about, recently all the retrenchments, the firms retrenchments, right,
Yep.
actually I saw this very interesting contrarian view, right, where they felt that actually the way that these retrenchments were handled are super bad. Because if you're going to cut off 10% of your workforce, what they could do instead, right, is ask all the employees if they would be willing to take a 10% pay cut. Like if someone asked that question, maybe they could problem solve together. So people felt like if you ask me for how to solve this problem of facing this economy together, we could deal with a 10% pay cut, for example.
But this is the person who lost their job or the person who still has their job.
So everybody lose 10% so that you won't be in the lottery for
I
retrenchment.
think those who still have their job won't want to cut 10%.
As in before you make a decision to cut.
I
10% of
guess.
people lah, right? Like I think there are people that will be willing to do that. We are willing to problem solve together. Yeah. But we sometimes feel that the older generation are not willing to listen, perhaps because they just feel like, I eat more salt than you eat rice, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's an assumption also, you know what I mean? Like, for example, for the Google thing, as an employer, I don't really agree with the method that they did it, but I can understand what it means to really look at the times ahead, right? And think about strategically if I have like this amount of employees and I'm gonna steer the ship a different way. I do need to lighten load, to steer the ship. And that may not mean a 10% because the people that are still on the ship, right, may no longer be strategic for the new direction.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but that may not be understood by everybody lah.
Yeah.
Then I have to go to everybody to communicate this and then get their buy-in before I fire them.
Why you make it sound so
I don't know.
difficult? Communicating to everybody in your company, right? It's just one email. Like,
No
it's
lah,
not
but
like
you
a super
think
difficult
about it,
email.
right? I feel the way Gen Zs are is that it's not just an email because the email will result in a TikTok video.
Okay.
The email will result in people
Yeah.
coming up to say that or posting on LinkedIn to say that this was what was done. They just send an email and like, wow, they're so heartless. I work for them for like how many years?
Then
They
10%
just
pay
fire
cut.
me with one email.
Okay.
So it's not just an email. It's a conversation. And I think different people have different expectations on the dynamics of that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel that if, for example, the company, right, like if they asked, like the company retrenches 10%, right, big tech firm, and like they ask the employees, hey, would you rather 10% pay cut or we cut 10% of our staff, right, that kind of thing. Like, and that question was asked, and then they replied, okay, the cut 10% of pay, that kind of thing. Then they say, actually, that's not the one we will choose, and they explain why, right? Oh,
Yeah.
because of a different strategic vision, we're going a different way. Actually, I think I would be quite happy, like even if it's not taken, but because I understand
That you can
that it's
accept
being
lah.
responded to, I can accept that.
Yeah,
I think most people, reasonable people, can accept that.
No, so I think my personal opinion then is that's the feeling of entitlement, maybe to my generation, that like every of your opinion needs a conversation. But sometimes as an employer there are
Right.
just a lot of things that are that it's not possible to have a conversation about every single decision that it needs to be made lah. Yeah. And then like so that's the feeling that I get as an employer.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so on this point, right, as a Gen Z, and I mean if you speak on behalf of your friends and all, do you feel like you're entitled to a voice?
I wouldn't say so much entitled to a voice.
Yeah.
I feel more that any good employer would want to listen to the employees. I mean, after all, you hire them because they have something,
Yep.
worth their salt, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that, we must speak out on every single thing, right?
Yep.
If y'all choose to order cai fan for our company bonding rather than mee pok, right? Like, I won't be like, wow, why they never ask us? But if it's like, to the point of, say, cutting a job, or
Yep.
cutting like the manpower, these kind of things, and these kind of things probably, right, if you want to co-create together, I would feel, those are worth
Conversations.
conversations. Would you think so? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure where I stand. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I believe that conversations are made, but probably not to the level that,
Right.
like, not to the most bottom level. You know what I mean?
I
I'm
get it,
very sure
yeah.
that there are conversations up higher,
Mm.
like in other, like in the managerial or like the executive.
so.
Yeah, but not to the,
Okay. Yeah.
the
I think
junior level lah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that can be. Yeah, that's possible. I think that many times, I guess, like, executive board, they trust managers to represent.
Yep.
Even junior levels and things like that. But I think as long as we know that there is that kind of consultation, it's not just a top-down thing. Yeah.
Yep.
And even that trust between the juniors and managers, I think things can go quite smoothly. Yeah.
Okay, so other than this, right, Shunyi, are there other, like maybe slightly puzzling observations or differences that you noticed?
Okay, I don't think it's puzzling, but there's definitely a difference, maybe in a way that my boss would give me feedback versus the way I feel like I need to give feedback to.
When you were younger.
No,
employee
even
or
right now. That means it's like
Okay.
how my bosses of the previous generation
Right.
and the way that they give me feedback. Usually it's like very, very direct and like in my face. And I don't think like if, I mean, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. Like I feel like if I were to just give that straight feedback to my younger employees, some may not be able to take it so
Yeah.
well lah. Like I feel like I do need to have a better, like have a relationship with them to like really understand where they're struggling at and stuff like that before like I share a feedback and then also share how we can journey together out of the feedback, that kind of thing.
Okay, I want to slide in an example. I have
Yeah.
an experience where this person was late.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I gave feedback that the person should not be late.
Yeah.
And then the person felt that I did not consider the context as to why he or she was late and felt that I should have asked like, why were you late? Hear the whole story out, right? But actually there was a pattern and the person has been consistently late.
Right.
So am I as the supervisor wrong to say that being late is absolutely wrong?
No leh, but because this to me is black and white, you know. If you are late, you should know that you are late. Yeah, and therefore the owner, like if I was the employee that was late, I came in late, right? I will feel that the onus is on me. I'm so sorry for being late, right? I will explain myself, but you are also
wrong
in the
lah.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're also in, so even in my university days, right? I come late for class or submit late, right? I tell
Wrong
my
is
teachers,
wrong.
hey, I'm so sorry, it was late. I own it first, but this happened, blah blah blah. Therefore, it was late. However, I also say, right? Hey, I trust that the decision is yours, like, it's in your hands. I don't say
So
that.
can you
need
really
to-
accept that you give context and an explanation and to you it is
The person
valid?
gives you 0, like
and the person really punish you for it.
I can because like usually it's like in some policy somewhere, like even in
Yeah.
my contract, right, employee contract, right, like I know that it says 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I know if I come late, right, and it's something I should own up to.
But then sometimes it's like the other argument, right, is flexible lor. Like I got finish my work, even if I late. But I got finish my work, then how?
But if we agree on already, then it's late lor. But so to me that one is like black and white ma. But let's say like quality, you know, like I really put a lot of thought into this. Then you say like, you know, if you just
Like
come out
actual
the gates and
door,
say, why you anyhow do, right? Why you never put thought into it?
Yep.
I got, that kind of thing, like,
Do you think you feel this more because you are like a fresh grad?
like feel what more? Like the
This whole like, actually I really try, but like if it's not up to standard, maybe it's because I really like don't know how to do lah.
Yeah, I think a bit. I think as a fresh grad, right? Wow, like because I'm 7 months into my like first job out of university, like I was surprised at number one how hard it is, right? Like I struggle, like you know, there's so many things I feel like I guess my boss hand the work to me and expect me to know how to do automatically, but actually I need to go and Google how to do this, ask people how to do this first before I even start doing. And there's no way for me while doing, right, to confirm whether correct or wrong, that kind of thing. Especially depends on how much bandwidth my boss has, right? Then like only sometimes when I hand in the assignment, the document, right, that I realize, oh, actually it's not
totally wrong.
Yeah, like, totally. Or sometimes like it's like so like after many times, like, oh, totally wrong. I try my best, oh, totally wrong. I put so much thought, I incorporate new feedback, well, still got so many things wrong. Then after that, suddenly I hand in something I'm not so confident about. I hand in, then my boss is like, good work. I was like, whoa, like, how, like I don't even know I did wrong, what I did right. To me, it's just like a trial and error. I push some buttons and then somehow it worked. Somehow it didn't work. And so that to me, like that was one of the experiences I had lah. And it got me a bit like confused also sometimes. Like, wow, like how come I'm doing well? Sometimes how come I'm not doing well also. Yeah, so there's a lot of confusion, right? So I feel that if my boss asks, like, you know, like ever asked me like, oh, how did I arrive there? Then I think I will understand how I got there was good or bad. And then in the future I can replicate it. Yeah.
Right.
But I think it's down to a mentoring philosophy also lah for employers, I guess. Yeah.
I guess going back to the whole idea about entitlement, right? Like on this topic of like, I guess giving feedback and like even like giving correction where it's required, right? Do you feel like your context should be heard? Because that is the whole idea of being entitled, right? That you feel like you should be your context should be weighed into consideration. The person should understand what you went through before doling out the eventual judgment.
Yeah. I feel that my context is not that okay, you need to hear my context to defend myself. But if you sincerely want me to become
Grow.
a better be a better employee, right? Hearing my context, hearing how I thought about it will actually help me grow. Yeah, because if not, right, I'm just like, okay, trial and error, don't know, you know, where I went wrong, where I went right. And I feel like, you know, it's also quite confusing and discouraging for an employee if I come in and like, okay, every time I submit, I have to like guess, okay, did I cut the yellow wire, blue wire, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Actually, that one I agree. I feel like in this regard, one thing I do enjoy about Gen Zs is that I say until like very old, like they're only like a few years ahead of y'all.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy that y'all are more daring to speak your mind.
I actually find a lot of joy working with the newer generation because of that. Like I feel like there are some things in the office, right, that really wasn't clear. Like what you mentioned. And by them asking questions, it actually helps to clarify certain processes.
And it sharpens it.
And and like why you do certain things. And actually, if you are able to verbalize it, I believe most of the Gen Zs can take it one. Like if I'm able to verbalize the reasons why we make certain policies, why we're able to defend the decisions and hear them out, may not take their feedback entirely and change the policy, but like I share my point of view and why I made this decision, and like when they give me the feedback, I'm like, I hear you, but this is what we decided. And this is what we're gonna go on with. Most of the Gen Zs are actually able to like run with the ball lah. I feel that
that's quite refreshing to hear actually. Because honestly I feel like actually a lot of like I guess younger generation people will feel like we sometimes want to rock the boat. We feel like we want to give a new feedback. We want to say something new, but it's a bit scary sometimes because we don't really know whether like our employers will feel like there's like too much. And I guess optics is a big thing, right? If you're the first one to voice out, right, like it doesn't shine very
am I
well
the
on
rebellious
you, right?
one, right?
Correct. Like am I the
troublemaker?
Troublemaker. Am I a black sheep? It comes. So optics also I think comes into play, and having that fear of what will it look like. But I think Gen Z generally somehow I guess more able to get around that.
Do you think y'all are very used to having an opinion because of social media?
Having an opinion. I think everyone's used to having an opinion, but I think that maybe my generation people, we are more assertive about it because I think I get quite a lot of confidence over certain opinions I have, right? Because I see thousands of other people agreeing with it online.
True.
You know what I mean? Like I know I'm not the only one thinking that way. Like we see like TikToks or Instagram posts like wow, relatable. So a lot of, like, we realize that a lot of like comments nowadays, right? Like are we all living the same life? That kind of thing. Have you seen before? So it's like So like it's like we like emboldened by like common experience. And so like even talk about work, right? Like we all talk among each other. Like I know you can get to work from home. Actually, it makes you do better work. All these kind of things.
So the scary thing for the employer, right, is that there is no such there's no such opinion online for
employers.
From the previous generation.
Right.
So they don't like the Gen Z, right? They are not exposed to that kind of opinion on their social media. And when their boss gives them that feedback, you're like, why? You're the only one who disagree with me,
exactly.
But
So
actually,
that was
all
exactly
the
what I was gonna
employers
say.
maybe agree with each other. They are just not living so much on social media or not on the same social media space.
And the algorithm will tell you that it's an echo chamber. That's why everything you see
Confirmation bias
agrees
as
with
well,
you.
right?
So that's the scary thing about.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes it's like, so when we read like on social media, and this is what like our Gen Z staff believes in, and that's why I feel like we need to tread more carefully when we speak to them, because this is their perspective, of life.
Maybe a culture gap, right?
So like I need to cross. I say I understand. This is where you come from. But I have to tell you that kind of thing. So I feel like that's the balance I do have to do at the work.
Is that necessarily wrong? Like adjusting your management style to this generation, knowing that this really is their reality, they are exposed
so that's
to all
why I
these
say
opinions.
that the entitlement thing, right, I feel like is what every generation will say to the generation after them one.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like my parents will say I am entitled, then I will say my children are entitled because really the environment and the culture that we live in is really different really. And like
No, and technically if we're doing our job right, we should be making life easier for the next generation. Then after that, don't turn around and scold them for being entitled. Help them, to grow up in that new environment that we work hard to curate for them.
Correct.
Correct.
So it's like it's really true. It's like everyone will say like, oh, the army gets easier and easier every year, that kind of thing. Like work culture really gets easier and easier. Like now, like people tell me they can go like vacation, go work in Europe for 1 month, like while working from home. Then I mean, to me, as an employer, like I don't think it's possible for you to work when you're in Europe, honestly. You really can put in 8 hours of honest work. As in, I really don't think so, And the other thing is, like, from this point, right, is the whole idea of like the loyalty to a company kind of a vibe. Not so much of the number of years, but like, are you for the company or do you expect the company to be for you? It's like when I come in to work for a company, right? As an employer, I want to employ a staff that is for the company. As in, like, you work,
like you're a good team player.
you're a good team player. You want to contribute. Like, you want to move and progress together. You want to work hard and you want to upskill yourself and all that stuff, right? versus the like, oh, I want to work for this company because it offers me all these benefits. I can go on vacation. I just finished my task can already, that kind of thing. But as a company, I do see a loss in like having my staff like really being on board. I don't know. Yeah.
Like people that like give like are more focused on what can I give to the company more than just what can I get from the company.
Yeah.
If I don't get it, like
you're always willing to like I'm always looking for a next new thing. If I don't get what I am here to get, right, then I'm off already. Yeah.
As an employer, does that concern you? As in like while you're working, right, do you feel like your employees, your Gen Z employees have
always
one eye out?
Yeah.
Yes lah, and I don't blame them because there really are a lot of options.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course then it does mean that I have to be on my toes also lah. Yeah, but I think there's a balance there. I cannot be that I pander to your every need and want.
Yeah lah.
And just to keep you, when there's really like it's really impossible to please. Yeah, sometimes lah.
Yeah. But it's quite good that you say this. No, actually, like I think it's one of the first time that I like, have this like self-reflexive thought that wow, actually, what is in it for me to stay in a company that doesn't offer me the things that I want? Like when I can just up and leave anytime I want.
Yep.
Yeah, like actually, as you ask this question or as you share these thoughts, right, I don't really see a reason for me to stay in a company, right, that won't give me what I want. Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe like loyalty to a boss, but even then, if the boss leaves, then actually I go so lah, right?
Which is
That
quite
kind of
common lah.
thing. Yeah. Or like how do we even feel an affinity to like an MNC's brand or something? What is in it for you that it would be loyal to a company even though it doesn't give you what you want? I try to understand the thought, the psychology behind it.
Yeah, I understand. So it's very interesting. So why would you as in like the way you choose companies to work with, right, is really purely benefits and not like the vision of the company, what the company believes in. Like, is it aligned to your values? Is it aligned to what you want to contribute to society in the long term? Like, I don't know whether that is even a consideration, or is it really just, in the 2-3 years I'm here, how much pay I can get, how much flexibility I can get, how much mentorship I can get, versus the vision of the company and like is this a good company contributing to society and stuff like that? Like I don't know whether.
I think that also depends on individuals, right?
Correct.
Different people have a different need to connect with the company's vision, like the ability to find
Fair
personal
enough.
meaning in your work. To
the
some
mission
people,
and all
it doesn't really matter as much, and I feel that that's okay. It's just that if that's the way you approach work, then naturally it affects how connected you feel to your work, how affectionate you feel about the work you do. Yeah.
So I think as an employer, then that would be a quality that I wish my staff would have that they would believe in the vision that my company has. Like even if in the most retail commercial companies, they all have a reason why the company exists. Yeah, and if that like really resonate with you, then maybe it's not so much of what you can get also lah.
Yeah, I think I guess one of the obstacles I feel buying into that, right, is like, okay, I can be loyal to a company, right, but I know, right, as much as the company says like it's for the world, vision, mission, right, when the economy is not going well, right, there's no reason it wouldn't cut me off. It wouldn't let me off, right?
Yes.
And so you ask me to be loyal to a company, right, but is the company really loyal to me, right? And I think more and more people, we don't really get the sense that our companies are loyal to us, right? But more of using us then in exchange, right? Kind of like a social contract, right? Is that they give us these benefits in return, Yeah. So then the benefits are what speaks, not some brand or whatever. Yeah. I don't know, man. Yeah.
I personally feel like just now Shunyi mentioned this, and I like her definition of loyalty actually. That it is not just about the amount of time you spend in a company, because I feel like that's what it used to be. Like you take pride in the fact that you're in the same company for like many years, right? But even like to my peers, it's like we don't really think about that. Even my uncles and aunties, they do jump from bank to bank, for example, because of salary lah, practically. So I like that idea that actually loyalty is not just the amount of time, because I think you can stay at a company for a really long time and actually not be all in. You're just there because it's safe for you and it gives you an income, right? I would much rather have a staff who is here for 1 year, but in that 1 year you really give it your all. And I think that actually speaks more about work ethic rather than like, as a person, am I loyal? As a generation, are we loyal? So I mean, what Wesley said about the whole like, actually the company is not loyal to me, the company may cut me anytime. What I guess I would say to that is that maybe you make a decision as an individual, or what is your personal work ethic? Just because the company will treat you like that in a time of recession, is that enough reason for you to then be a worker who is half in, like, you know, I mean, personally, I don't think I would want to work like that, just because you spend so much time at work. Like, I'm
always
the kind of person that, if you're just trying to talking, I just feel like, then just don't work lah. Like, very no point lah. If I want to be at that job, if I want to do what I'm doing, I would like to at least be connected with what I'm doing.
Yeah, but also I think one of the things that so I actually pondered this question quite a bit before. That's one time I asked my boss quite shamelessly, right? Actually, why do you hire me? You know, then I mean she said her reasons and all that, right? Then after that, I asked, then do you have any concerns? You know, like as you're hiring me, like, cause why everything is so good? Then she said, I just don't know how long we can keep you for. And I was like, whoa, like
she also
like,
honest.
So like, my boss is very real. I appreciate that about her. Yeah, and actually they got me thinking, like, actually, you know, like, is that true about me? I realized that actually what's stopping me also, right?
From leaving.
Correct. Like, why do you stay a certain time? And that's why I asked some of my like seniors at work, like director level, they like had 10-year experience, but like 3-4 jobs over the years. I asked them what, you know, motivated them to join this company I'm at or whatever. And a lot of them like have a very clear vision of what do I want to accomplish at this company. For example, I want to build this system, I want to launch that, I want to right? And it was quite clear. Right, to them as they came into the company, and then that became that, okay lah, you know, I don't have to stay here for the next 20 years, right? But I want to accomplish this, and they had that kind of pretty clear vision of coming in, and I felt that was something that I didn't have a clear vision of coming into, you know, at my level, you know, because I don't even know what I can contribute to. And so because for me, I thought about it, that actually what for me, the thing I'm optimizing for is learning. Then is it really wrong then for me to say that I'm joining a company because I want to learn, I want to be mentored, nurtured, exposed to different things. So I'm not sure, like, even at this stage, is that very wrong to say?
No, I mean, I don't see that is wrong, but then to want all of that, right? Like to want to learn, to want mentor, and then also want flexibility, vocation.
Your tone changed when you say that.
You know, like you like you all want a lot of things lah. So like then like as an employer, it's like, okay, I need to take care of your mental health. I need to coach you and give you direct feedback. I need to like give you flexibility to do what you want, and then like, you know, like contact you at your agreed terms. You know, and then when I expect you to, like, you know, put in the hard work, put in more hours, you're like, oh, this is not work-life balance. Then it really is putting the employers at a hard place.
It's true lah. And I think as you say now, I suddenly hear for what it is. Whoa, like, actually, being an employer is not easy as well. If I was in your shoes lah, it's not easy.
So how are we doomed?
No lah, like I think I really like appreciate what you said about the work ethics part. Like I really feel like sometimes, even if the company treats me badly, or like even if my bosses are not like the way, I mean, there can't be perfect bosses around lah, you know, and like there can't be perfect companies around, you see. So you are looking for this elusive thing that doesn't appear, right? But then how do I, as an employee, be the best I can be? I feel like that's the question that I would love for my staff to reflect on also lah.
Shunyi, you have some personal experience, right? Because I know that before this, you came from like the production industry, and I mean, I'm not sure whether you guys are familiar with it, but the production and media industry is kind of like known, for being quite like intense, harsh working conditions. I think even in the power dynamic, it can be quite like that kind of thing, you know. So I mean, in your personal experience, how have you navigated this?
There were incidences lah, and then like you have nasty clients who throw vulgarities at you. 24-hour work days, like I work straight 24 hours. But I think one of the things that I think maybe because of my faith, there were things that I lived through. But I think I didn't really see it as like, like that means like this company, this industry, and I mean it was really quite the norm in my era. And I think the mindset that I had was really like, I can grow through this.
But we're also not saying like, if you're in a toxic workplace, then just tahan everything and let people shout you all the time, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's just that you can grow lah, even if you are currently in a environment like that.
No, I think if you change your mindset, as in, I don't think you should take everything, but if you change your mindset to like, okay, you really evaluate how long will you be there. Like in
Yeah.
my workplace, in the very toxic workplace, I already knew it was not a very, very healthy workplace, but I gave myself a year. Yeah,
Okay.
I was like, okay, I will work at it for a year. I would learn and grow. I don't agree with certain things, and I do speak up when things get overboard.
Yeah.
But I do see that it was on me to put in the hard work also. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. On that note, actually, I can relate. I mean, to this.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you had no reason to put in so much hard work in a place where you could have felt like, oh, you were oppressed, or like, wow, my boss don't trust me, clients always so mean to me. And I feel like maybe a lot of people might shut down in light of those trials, or shut down in light of those difficulties and hardships that they face at work. Yeah, because like there's almost like no incentive, to work harder.
Yep.
You work hard, also kena score. Do badly, of course kena score, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can kind of relate to that because I'm in this very interesting season, because I'm in between jobs right now. Yeah, so
Okay.
I'm like serving my notice period. After you change job, you change job, right? Then they give you 2 months before you actually end your contract.
Right.
So I'm in that limbo season now, where actually the truth is, if I do badly, what's the worst they're gonna do? Right? Fire me, right? Like I can't leave my job twice, right? And what's the best they can do? There's nothing, right? They won't promote me. They won't give me a raise if I do well,
Yep.
right? Yeah, and so like these questions of how do I conduct myself? How do I want to be remembered? What work ethic do I want to still put forth, right? Yeah. So those are questions that I had, and actually like similar to you, like one of the choices I had to make was, okay, do I, right? I don't care like that, and leave the company, right? Or do I choose to put my head down, right? Continue to work hard at the things that I am assigned, right? So like that's in terms of tasks. Do I gloat over, oh, I'm gonna get a better job, right, or something? I'm getting out of here, that kind of thing. Or continue to be like respectful, honorable to the current team, right? Do I speak badly of the management or whatever, or do I continue to hold them in a good light, right? To preserve the unity in the company? Because actually, right, at the end of the day, I still do want the company to succeed, right? I am
exactly.
grateful for what I had experienced, what I had
That's a
taken
good point.
and grew in the past 7 months here before I changed company. Yeah, but so how do I want to conduct myself? It's a quite an important question to ask ourselves, whether Gen Z or whatever, in our workplaces, I guess.
Yeah, I really like what you shared. And I guess like since you're in this position now where you are kind of like transiting right into the next job, from today's conversation, are there some things that will make you approach your next job a bit differently?
Yeah. So I guess approaching my next job, I think one thing definitely is I think just hearing from Shunyi how like considerations that employers have as well. Number one is just like empathy. Like, wow, it is not easy to be an employer, right? Though I have many demands and desires and I guess entitlements, right? There are also difficult decisions to make, right? Trade-offs that employers have to make, and I guess one thing the company to succeed also requires me to be considerate of those trade-offs, right? And think in a sense one up, right? For the company as well. I think the other thing also that we talk about work ethic, right? What am I here to achieve, right? Not just what can I get from the company, but what am I here to achieve? And I am genuinely excited, right, to achieve things, to accomplish things, to contribute things to my company, right? And that's something that I'm very sure, regardless Gen Z or whatever, we all have that drive to. And it's that desire that will drive me more than, okay, I'm gonna stay here because I have work from home days, or like I can get to wear berms and Crocs, right, to work, kind of thing. And I generally do desire that in my new job.
That's nice to hear.
Hey, then Shunyi, after I guess after this opportunity to get to talk to this like Gen Z boy, right?
Boy.
Do you have any, as somebody who leads like Gen Z employees do you have any advice to managers? Because I'm sure for somebody who grew up in a different generation, it's not always easy, right? To have to try to understand this new generation, how they think, what's important to them. So if by any chance we have some older managers watching us.
Honestly, I really, really think that the new generation, I don't think you should come with an assumption that they are not willing to work hard. I feel like they are. There are people out there who are still willing to work hard, but they want the reason to work hard for also. They want to know how they can be a better contributor. And that really is very, very different from our generation where we just complete tasks. Yeah, a lot of them, they do want to contribute to overall culture, like decision making and like shaping the company moving forward. And I think it is our responsibility also to actually to help them to eventually they will also grow into this role of managers, I feel. Yeah, so to give them that space and that exposure to be able to speak into that lah. Yeah, and that really does also mean changing some of the ways that we think about work lah. Especially also now that we're coming out from a pandemic, right? I feel like the last few years has really been crisis management for most companies, right? But now moving out from a pandemic, we are really going to a new normal where the world is a little bit different. Not just generations of workers coming in, but also just how we all live through a pandemic and how the world has changed in totality, right? And to really make space for that changes to happen also as managers to navigate that lah. Yeah. And I think for the Gen Zs is like, please show grace, like as much as y'all come out from the pandemic, we also we don't have it all together. Like, and we're not gonna make the best decisions always. And sometimes really I do think that there is a possibility that they see further into the generation that where they are in than we do. Yeah, so to have that space of conversation.
I actually think that if the Gen Zs are nurtured well, right, there's a lot of power in that because the Gen Zs are so like vocal and so unafraid to be vocal. So if there is a way in which we are able to teach them how to manage that, how to channel that passion. I think even the fact that, in that list of requirements, one of it is like that whole concern for the environment, social impact, the fact that they feel strongly about these kind of things. So actually if you can marry their passion, right, with their competence, with developing them, with helping them to channel their strengths into the right places, well, actually it's very powerful. And then after Gen Z, right, got Gen Alpha. So actually if we don't develop the Gen Z well, right, well, it's going to be even harder with the next generation. So I really like what you say. I do think that as a manager, you are actually quite open-minded and you're very willing to adjust to what the generation requires to be developed well. So I mean, on behalf of all your beautiful staff members, I will thank you. Great manager. So I think we had quite an interesting conversation. I don't think it's very often that we get to sit down and talk about how each generation views each other. So I am excited for, I guess, what is to come in the next few years, right? As we learn as we receive more Gen Z workers, Wesley and people his age are the first Gen Z batch, right?
First Gen Z batch.
So I think it's coming. But if we learn how to lead our Gen Z workers, well, actually, I think there's a lot of potential in that. So are Gen Zs entitled?
Kinda.
Okay, Wesley say one. Okay, but growing. We're all developing and growing. But we hope that you enjoyed this episode, and if you would like to know more about or you liked more episodes on generation comparisons or whatever, please leave us a comment in the comment box below. We would love to just have more of these conversations. It was very interesting. So we've come to the end of our episode for today, and we are launching a Telegram channel. So if you would love to participate in the discussions, we are going to start more discussions there. Join us. You can find the link in the description box below, and we'd love to hear your opinion on that. So once again, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at ngl.people, and you can find our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as YouTube. So until next time, like, share, and subscribe. See you.
See ya.
Bye.